Breaking news! A shocking twist is unfolding in Ravens training camp, and it's not coming from the names you've been watching. While all eyes have been locked on DeAndre Hopkins' integration, Zay Flowers' continued ascent, and Rashad Bateman's long-awaited resurgence, someone completely off the radar is quietly becoming one of the most talked-about stories in Owings Mills. And no, this isn't another offseason overreaction. What's happening behind the scenes might force the Ravens to break their usual mold and make an unprecedented decision. But before we move on, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go Ravens!" Now let's dive into the story that's got the entire Ravens fan base doing a double take. The name on everyone's lips right now? Leonte Wester. The Florida Atlantic standout has been turning heads in a serious way, not just on special teams, but as a wide receiver. Yes, you heard that right. Sam Njoku, a plugged-in voice on all things Ravens, dropped a major nugget. Leonte Wester may be the steal of the draft. And he said that even while acknowledging the buzz around other rookies like Mike Green. That's no small statement. Initially, the general expectation was modest for Wester. Maybe he'd carve out a role on special teams, especially considering the Ravens have been searching for consistency at returner since Devin DuVernay's decline. But what we're seeing now is more than just a special teams ace. Wester's performance at wide receiver is starting to demand real attention. The sentiment around him is growing, and not just among fans. Coaches are taking notice too. Wide receivers coach Greg Lewis has been candid about what he sees in Wester. He praised Wester's movement skills, quickness, and perhaps most importantly, his ability to separate. It don't matter how big or small you are. With receiver, it don't matter how slow or fast you are. Separation is the name of the game, said Lewis. That's a big endorsement. He also noted Wester's intelligence and ability to absorb the playbook, something that matters a lot in this complex Ravens offense. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Jonas Shaffer reported that special teams coordinator Chris Horton is very impressed with Wester's return abilities, even calling his performance outstanding, despite a muff punt early in practice. And what did Wester do after that mistake? Push-ups. He held himself accountable, something coaches love to see from a young player. Wester even made a tough catch in traffic against Robert Longerbeam during that same practice. That's exactly the kind of moment that builds trust with the coaching staff. Every play matters, and he's stacking up the kind of moments that force teams to make room on the roster. The Ravens receiver room is crowded with names like T.Z. Walker, Tylan Wallace, Anthony Miller, and Keith Kirkwood. But Wester, he's rising fast, and he's not the only under-the-radar wideout making noise. Dayton Wade has been building real chemistry with Lamar Jackson. One of Lamar's best throws of camp, a perfectly placed 30-yard pass over the shoulder, went to Wade. And then just a few plays later, Lamar connected with him again along the sideline. This isn't just camp filler. This is two guys building timing, trust, and rhythm. So what does this mean for the Ravens offense? With DeAndre Hopkins entering the fold, Zay Flowers poised to explode in year 2, and Rashad Bateman hungry to prove himself, the top of the depth chart feels locked. But guys like Wester and Wade are making it hard to ignore them. Their preseason performance will be critical, especially since the Ravens can't keep everyone. And these next few weeks might just determine who stays and who goes. The real question is, can Leonte Wester force the Ravens' hand? Can he make himself uncuttable? Is he about to do what few UDFA receivers have done in Baltimore? Not just make the team, but contribute? Let's keep this going. Leonte Wester isn't just making plays, he's making a case. And with every rep he takes, it becomes more and more evident that the Ravens coaching staff is going to face one of the toughest wide receiver decisions in recent memory. For a franchise that for years struggled to develop homegrown talent at the position, this sudden overflow of legitimate contributors feels like uncharted territory. But is Wester simply benefiting from camp energy, or is he actually carving out a real future in Baltimore? Here's what sets Wester apart: consistency and versatility. Yes, he dropped a punt, but he punished himself for it immediately with push-ups. That kind of accountability, in front of teammates and coaches, speaks volumes about his mentality. Players can't be perfect, but showing that kind of drive to correct mistakes instantly is the hallmark of someone fighting for every inch of opportunity. Then, on the very same day, he bounces back with a clutch grab in traffic. It's that short memory, that hunger, that lets a young player elevate from camp body to roster lock. And the truth is, the Ravens haven't seen a reliable return specialist since DuVernay's drop-off. So even if Wester's offensive snaps are limited, given the pecking order of Flowers, Hopkins, Bateman, and likely T.Z. Walker, his impact on special teams alone could earn him that 53-man roster spot. But if he keeps flashing on offense too, then Baltimore's coaches will have no choice but to find creative ways to get him on the field. Now add to that the potential of Dayton Wade, who's quietly developing chemistry with Lamar Jackson. That's not hype, that's value. Lamar doesn't just trust anyone with a deep shot or a sideline route. For him to repeatedly look Wade's way during camp shows a real belief in Wade's route running and hands. And while Wade might not be a starter come week 1, his versatility and awareness could land him in the same conversation as Wester, especially during the preseason. Let's not forget about the veterans, though. Anthony Miller and Keith Kirkwood are still in the mix, and that experience matters. But the Ravens are clearly focused on building their own, and that's where this story gets complicated. You've got young, hungry players pushing veterans daily. The battle isn't just for a roster spot, it's for the team's future identity at receiver. And you have to look at the broader implications too. With the Ravens' tight end room temporarily thinned out due to Isaiah Likely's absence, there's a real chance for Greg Roman's successor, offensive coordinator Todd Monken, to deploy more 4-receiver sets. That opens the door for someone like Wester to not just be a gadget player or backup returner, but to line up in live offensive packages. Add Hopkins to the mix, and the alignments can get downright dangerous. Hopkins wide, Flowers in the slot, Bateman stretching the field, and Wester sneaking in as the unexpected weapon. It's the kind of diversity Baltimore hasn't been able to play with in years. And here's the reality, this Ravens offense is evolving. The narrative around Baltimore being a run-heavy, tight-end reliant group, that's shifting. Sure, Derrick Henry is going to be the engine, and yes, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely are critical pieces, but this season feels different. There's a real commitment to surrounding Lamar Jackson with weapons that can win one-on-one, that can get open consistently, that can give him options at every level of the field. And Leonte Wester is doing his part to be one of those options. Which brings us to the ultimate question the Ravens will have to answer soon. How much value do they place on upside? Because with Wester, that's the bet. You're banking on what he can become, not just what he is right now. And if this training camp is any indication, he's trending in the right direction. But in a deep receiver room, sometimes even trending upward isn't enough. It's about making undeniable plays, undeniable impressions, and undeniable progress. So what's next? Preseason. That's the big test. Wester will see real reps on special teams and on offense. It'll be his stage to show the coaching staff he's not just another training camp standout, but someone who can help this team win when the lights are on. And with guys like Cooper Rush under center for most of those games, chemistry with the second and third units will matter. Wester has to be ready every route, every return, every snap. Because for all the praise he's receiving now, it only truly matters if he can turn it into production in preseason. That's where roster spots are won. That's where hype becomes reality or disappears completely. So now we ask, will Leonte Wester make the 53-man roster? Or will he become yet another name fans remember from training camp, only to see him waived in the final round of cuts? Let me know in the comments, should the Ravens give Wester a real shot? Do you think he belongs on the Week 1 roster?